hi everybody. My name is Nazanine POL, and I'm currently a freshman here at High Tech High Chula Vista. So for all of my years of education up until now, I went to a small immersion school called Language Academy, from all the way from pre-K all the way to now, where I learned about French culture and language and even had the opportunity to take the AP exam and pass with a 4. But this is my first time doing project-based learning. I surely have my thoughts about it, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be, and it definitely puts me out of my comfort zone. So to start with my speech, I feel like life is like a piece of music. Every step, milestone, and event is important and leads to the bigger picture, the final piece. I believe this piece is like life. It's the air you breathe and the ground you walk on. It has its flats and its sharps, but it's also composed of beautiful melodies and harmonies. In this case, it can also be applied to education. My years at High Tech High will follow a melody, a piece, but it's my job to really try and make my song stand out. My song is made up of 7 different factors: refinement, evidence, mindfulness, cooperation, compassion, perspective, and perseverance. In my classes, these are known as the 7 habits of heart and mind. They are core elements in daily life that we use. We might not be aware of it, but we use all of these components every single day. So to start with the first habit of heart and mind, mindfulness. So as a piano player, one of these core elements is mindfulness. Mindfulness is extremely important as a musician, and as it can help with more creative practice and music performance. For example, by being more aware of my thoughts and surroundings while playing the piano, I can easily alter course in a piece of music if I make a mistake. Mindfulness is just as important in music as it is in the real world. I've experienced mindfulness when being aware of my thoughts and surroundings while handling sharp and dangerous tools in physics. So this is our bungee capsule So this is our bungee capsule project, where we had to build a capsule that was designed for 4 different people. So we had to launch it off of a balcony, and then it would fall, and then it would be like a real life simulation almost. So this was the process of us making the project, and I had to be extra mindful because of handling like hot glue, the super scissors, and the X-Acto knife, which can be seen in all of the pictures on the side. So it was important for us to be mindful, because otherwise we would be able to hurt other people, and we wouldn't want that to happen. So yeah. So that moves me to my next habit of heart and mind, perspective. So being aware of yourself and your surroundings is very important, but it's also very important to be aware and understand other people and their perspectives. I've always been a pretty open-minded person, and I always try my best to understand multiple sides and perspectives of a situation. Perspective is crucial in life, because otherwise everyone would be closed-minded. Their thoughts would be their own, and their ideas wouldn't be able to be shared with the world. I have understood perspective when debating with my humanities class on Proposition 27. So as you can see here, there's a yes side and there's a no side, normal proposition stuff. But and it was nice being able to properly debate with people who have different views than me. So I chose the vote yes side, but on this assignment, we had to compare and contrast both sides. So we had to understand perspective. So we had to understand their side and our side in order to be able to compare them and contrast them. So that it was crucial and also to get to our end product, which was being able to actually vote on it. We had to be educated on both sides. So in my opinion, evidence is the most important habit of the heart and mind. Because without evidence, how would you back up that you've shown or experienced these habits? With no evidence, any information is just an opinion. Ever since the beginning of freshman year, Mr. Ted has consistently asked us to take pictures of everything. I tried my best to take pictures of a lot of things, but I definitely wish I took more. One example where I show and use my evidence. So for the first one is I put my SLC. So these conferences, also known as student-led conferences, were basically an entire recap of everything that I've been doing up until that point. And so if I here, I'll open it so everybody can see. So on my portfolio, we had to input pictures. So it was in like a parent-teacher conference, but it was me leading it to show my parent what I was doing. And the only way that I could have done that was by showing pictures of what I was doing. So here I'll show an example from physics, if it wants to load. So I had to show pictures and videos of what I was doing so I could show my mom. So that would be my evidence that I was doing things and doing good things in school. But yeah. And so my second example of showing evidence was my The Fall of the House of Usher annotations. And my evidence that I was able to grasp the material thoroughly was shown not only through my annotations, but through my final summary, which I forgot to include, but that's fine. So you can see on my annotations that I have multiple things highlighted, so not only just words that I didn't understand, but I also highlighted things that I was interested in and needed more like stuff to like dive deeper into to understand it more, because it was a very difficult text. And so but yeah, so that was the only way that I would have been able to understand it. So in addition to evidence, I believe that cooperation is also one of the most important habits of heart and mind. So this is important because otherwise, if you don't use cooperation in your daily life, or if you do not work well with other people, then I feel like that it's just it's like wasted potential almost, because especially here at high tech, where it's a project-based school, group projects, if you don't work well with your group, then it's kind of just a lost cause. So one of my examples here is being an ASB, so also known as Associated Student Body. We all work together, all of us, so it's freshmen, sophomores, everybody else, all the upperclassmen. We work together in order to achieve the goals and the views of the students. So one example is homecoming planning. So as you can see on the left, there's a picture of the before, and then on the right, there's a picture of the after we finish setting up and everything. And we couldn't have done this without the help of everybody in ASB. And what was cool is that we also did this with little to no help from any adults. So we got there at 8 o'clock, we set up early, and this was all we couldn't have done it without cooperation. So in my opinion also, so I feel like the only way that I can make a difference in this world is by refining my skills to the best of my abilities. Refinement is an essential tool in adolescence and in the adult world as well. So no one on this earth is perfect, but by refining skills, you can improve more and more. So I would like to also show, in addition to this, back to the beginning where I referenced how I'm a piano player. So refinement in music is also extremely important, as Mr. Alec probably knows, because you play the guitar. It's extremely important. You only want to get better and better, especially if you're interested, and the only way you can do that is like by practice, but it's important. So another way that I showed refinement in school was in my math class. So a B might not seem like a low grade, but for me, I know that I can do better than that. I know that I know that I can get A pluses, I know that I can get A's, and I knew that that was not my best work. And I was not grasping almost anything, and then I was out for a week, like I didn't know, I came back completely dumbfounded. So when I came back, I decided that I would work hard to try and kind of get back on track and understand what the curriculum was and what the material was. And that led to me getting an A plus on my final and an A minus on our most recent packet. So I've always thought perseverance as a little unimportant lesson that your parents teach you in order for you to be able to have more pressure to work harder. But as I've gotten older, I realized that perseverance is actually really crucial to getting things done in the first place. So there would be no point if you just kind of saw something that was hard and then you just stopped. So if you did that, then there would be no point in doing it at all. You might as well just not do it. But I have persevered in the past by working hard to get past hard obstacles in my work at school. One example is during our chain reaction project, which is our first project. Me being I've never really done big group projects in my early schooling, so having to work with someone that I had just met was really hard for me. But eventually we got past all of our hard obstacles. In addition to procrastination, we also got to get to this final product, and here's our video. So as you can hear by that gasp, we were not thinking that we were gonna do it so early on. But we did end up getting to our final product, and I know that I could have worked harder, but we hit so many roadblocks, so just getting past them in the first place was a feat for both of us. So the last habit of heart and mind I would like to talk about is compassion. So this is also one of the most important ones. Being a compassionate person means being able to help people around you when they need help. So in addition to that, being compassionate also means being able to recognize when there are problems in your environment. And I have shown compassion in my classes when helping others if they need help with anything. So one example is during our bungee project, like I mentioned earlier. So my partner was out for the first half of the project because he fractured his thumb. and he couldn't physically do anything, so I tried my best to let him contribute more mentally with his ideas, and I could like physically make it, so he still felt like he was being a part of it, even though he couldn't actually like do anything. So my evidence is pictures of me doing all of like the physical work at the beginning of the project, and then I was out and he did the same thing for me. So next I would like to move on to my improvement plan. If it wants to move. So improvement is important. It's noticing your weaknesses and actually doing something about it. All people have weaknesses. There isn't a single person on the face of the planet that doesn't. So as a student, I don't really have any complaints being raised in a household where my mother highly values education, where her only requirement for her children is that they get a good college education and degree. And it turned my siblings into pretty good students in school. I've always had really good grades and great academic capabilities. There are no issues there, but as a human, I still have my weaknesses, as does everybody else. The first one I would like to talk about is perseverance. So perseverance has always been a little bit of an issue for me. I've been stuck in this habit of just looking at an assignment, and if it's not something I can do without using my brain, I won't do it. I'll rather wait until the last minute or not do it at all. So this happened a lot during distance learning especially, but it's something I hope with time and effort will hopefully get resolved as much as possible in the near future. Some ways I plan to do so is by using a planner more often to keep track of my assignments and due dates, and also setting alarms on my phone so that I could set specific times to do things related to classwork, examples, upload to Inkwire, or work on a certain assignment. I had an enlightening conversation with Mr. Ted while I was writing my speech. We talked about some things that I'm good at and some things that I could improve on, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about next. So compassion is something I've struggled with a little bit, ever since I was a kid. So not only has this been a problem for me personally, but it's slowly seeped its way into my education. I've always been a very independent person, always being sure of what I want and what I'm going to do to get that or achieve that, but this also comes with its problems, one of which is my lack to really be able to branch out and help other people. Being so sure of myself somehow made me lose being able to be sure of other people. There's one thing in particular that I plan on doing in order to help with this weakness of mine. The only way would be to start branching out to the people in my classroom, in my pod. We are the co-op after all, right? We're supposed to help each other, and that's exactly what I plan on doing with my peers in the future. I'll start with little steps, maybe helping some people around my table so that I can get accustomed, but in the end, I hope that I can be a small step in truly helping others and helping the co-op be more like a co-op. Thank you.
All right.